Damn. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kent Tilley. This is Joaquin Gage. Joaquin just started with us, and I'd like to welcome him to the team. And I guess I thought he was maybe going to say something there, but I take long pauses. He doesn't know when to chime in. We spent the morning talking about the Oilers free agency, and and then we thought, let's do a video talking about financial planning in your 40s, because between the two of us, we're on, the low end of our 40s and the high end of our 40s. I'm not going to tell you who is where. You can figure it out from the beard, probably with the gray in it. But want to talk about the things that people need to think about in their 40s when it comes to financial planning. My opinion, this is when you really get your financial plan in order, but it's also a pretty easy decade once that happens. So if you have a simple situation, which a lot of people do, you might actually be better off just going ahead and getting, say, a fee-for-service plan that says, okay, these are the things that you need to focus on and tweaks you need to make, and then just keep moving that forward. And then maybe as you get closer to retirement, that's when you find a financial planner that you want to work with long term as you're entering that stage. Because a lot of times with our clients in their 40s, it's mostly just maintaining once it's set. So there's not anything major unless you're in a complex situation. But today we're going to talk about general 40-year-olds, their employees, they've got jobs, their family set, they've got their house, all of these things, and we'll go through that. So welcome Joaquin to the team, and we'll learn some things from him today. But and I'll try not to talk too much, because I know you'll fall asleep. You told me you were tired, so it's like,
no, that was riveting. The intro there, Kent. So I'm fully. That's like 10 cups of coffee. So I'm good. Yeah,
perfect. Your sarcasm is wonderful. I love it.
And so I'm thanks for not mentioning the age. I know you have a little bit of gray in the beard, but I think I do have more gray actually. So, well, we'll leave that up to, maybe it'll be a trivia question later on.
Right, sure.
40-year-olds. Like you said, Kent, I think that for the most part, they're structured in their planning, but sometimes, and definitely through the past few years with what we've gone through with COVID, and today we see the interest rates hike, just the value of a financial plan to just tighten the screws and bolts of certain areas to make sure that people keep on track towards those goals of retirement, I think are the most important thing. And just knowing that, I know for myself, looking at my plan and knowing that, okay, well, there's had to be some adjustments here and there. A lot of different things can pop in, but just knowing that I'm on that right track and I can keep going with what I have I like that peace of mind, putting my head to pillow, knowing that I'm still on track.
Yeah, and that's kind of the biggest thing with financial planning, is just giving people the peace of mind, knowing that they're on the right track and that, they have all the pieces in place. I like that screws thing or tweaks. We talk about hockey a lot, where it's like, as a goalie, you'd have a coach come in and say, look, you're great, but here's like a little tweak you can make. And that's kind of our job, is to just find those tiny little things and sometimes they're huge. I mean, sometimes it's like, you need to blow this up. But so we're going to talk about the 6 areas that encompass any financial plan and how they can relate to 40-year-olds. And so I'll start with retirement planning. I mean, usually in your 20s and 30s, it's like just finding your way. And some people have done a good job and they've saved some money in their RSP and TFSA and got that investing experience and built up a little bit of a head start. That's what your 20s and 30s are about with the plan, getting that head start. But if you don't have it, that's okay. There's still a lot of time left, but now is the time to focus on, what are your retirement goals? And I always ask couples or people, like, when do you want to retire and how much do you think you would like to spend per month after tax? And it's almost as simple as that. And then we say, okay, let's do a retirement plan. Let's look at the sources of income that you're going to have in retirement. And that is going to include CPP, OAS, maybe a pension, maybe part-time work, some savings that you already have, whatever that might be. And if that doesn't add up to, paying out the goal that you have, now we need to develop that saving strategy to get you there. And, it's not going to be right. We're, 20, 25, 30 years away, but we know, sort of the rough track we want to go on. And that's kind of as simple as retirement planning is today, is like, what's your track you need to be on? Let's get started. And so that's the easy thing. A lot of people think they have a financial plan and all they have is a software printout that says maybe they're on the right track towards retirement based on these certain things. And that's a very easy, simple part of it, but it gives you an idea, okay, I'm tracking towards there. And I think that's important to know you're working towards that goal. And, you alluded to it a little bit. I thought you'd talk a little bit about cash flow management. You sort of have an idea in your 40s, but it's also an expensive decade. So let's chat about that a bit.
I mean, everyone's different in their 40s, right? And a lot of the expenses, I mean, for young families, and we were talking before, Kent, about hockey, and I have a girl in dance, and the costs are astronomical. If I didn't have my mother-in-law chained to a sewing machine in the basement making costumes, it would really disrupt my financial plan. So I get a little bit of a break there. But managing your cash flow to set up reducing debt over the last few years, I mean, Canadians have borrowed a lot of money, and just building different plans, whether it be there's tons of different debt elimination strategies, but either the snowball avalanche of paying credit card debt down, eliminating that, and still being able to contribute to, like you said, your TFSAs, RSPs, and still staying involved in that and reducing your expenses. Things are so different right now with the cost of just simple groceries, right? So knowing that what your cash flow is in that certain situation, knowing how much you can spend each month and still staying on track, that's another thing that we focus on.
Yeah, for sure. So, and that's a big deal with debt reduction, because interest rates are changing so much, not putting yourself in a position where you won't ever be able to pay off that debt by becoming house poor potentially. There are consolidation strategies, of course. And you had brought something up too, which right now, especially with, sort of market turmoil and potential recession cautions and all of these things, is to have that buffer built up with an emergency fund and what that amount should be.
Well, usually you would like to see 3 to 6 months of your monthly salary built up for an emergency fund. If anything, that's the last few years with COVID, and people might be losing their jobs or getting laid off. That emergency fund to me, that's one of the most important things, especially for even people maybe in their 20s and 30s to start establishing that. It's a lot different. I'm going to bring our age back into this, Kent, but it seems that people change professions a lot more than usual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just the simple changing of occupation and changing jobs, just to be able to get through that downtime of looking for work possibly somewhere else, and having that emergency fund, that's key and for anyone right now.
For sure. Absolutely. It's and it was hard because it was like, everybody got scared during COVID. They spent way less. They started saving all this extra money, and then they're like, I've got extra money, let's spend it. And you're like, well, maybe we did that a little bit too quickly. So and I do want to bring up one other thing. Is sometimes a big question that people will have is, should I pay off debt or put money into investments? And that's a tough question to answer as a general rule of thumb. So that would be something where you would look at in the financial plan, and where it might be like, listen, it's way more important for you to focus on this debt reduction before, putting money into investments. If, say, the interest rate's 10 or 20%, you're not going to see that kind of return. You might, but, on a sort of general level, you're probably going to be way better off paying that debt off first, and that makes more use out of your money. So
it's fun to see the light bulb moment with clients at certain times, because I'm just going to use it. Some people think I got to get rid of my mortgage, right? Once I get rid of this mortgage, I'll be free and clear, and I can start doing other things. But as planning goes, and being able to show people what it actually looks like if they were to use possibly that surplus that they're using to pay out down their mortgage towards an investment, maybe that makes more sense in their retirement planning with the age of retirement that they initially came up with, right? So there's multiple different strategies to get there, and just actually seeing maybe a few different options might resonate more with what you actually, you know what, that makes way more sense to me in the next few years. I'd much rather do that, and I'm still on track, and everything works out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a big part of, like, on a mathematical, I'm going to do a video about mortgage versus investing again soon, because there's been a lot of talk about it in the influencer sort of network, where they don't show the whole picture. But it comes down to, does this work for your plan, and does it make you more comfortable one way or the other? And you kind of make it work. That's how I prefer to do planning is, what's going to make you sleep better at night? And let's use that as the strategy, rather than, let's maximize everything and take risks that a lot of people don't want to take, which leads into asset management in your 40s. I mean, the funny thing about investing, honestly, is that it's the easiest part, but the hardest part, because it's the most mentally challenging part of a financial plan. It's the only part we cannot control. As you've seen, I mean, nobody's doing well this year. What you need to do with asset management is fairly simple. Find the risk level that you're comfortable with. Find a good, diverse portfolio that fits that risk level, that is going to give you projected rates of return that are realistic, because a lot of advisors out there do not show long-term realistic rates of return. They say, look what we got last year, this is what you're going to get. And that will throw your retirement plan way off if somebody's saying, we're going to get a 9.5% rate of return for the next 30 years. You're like, well, I only have to save $25 a month, to be a millionaire. You're like, well, that's not true. The average investor does like 3.6%, because they generally make mistakes, or they're paying way too much in fees. So that's a big part of this business for us, is like, generally, comparatively to any other big institution, we're charging our clients less for similar, or, in my opinion, better portfolios. And if you want a fee-for-service plan, then we'll talk to you about how to reduce those fees even more which should benefit your investment returns in the long run. It's as simple as that. You have a long time to recover from what's coming up right now and what's happened already in 2022. And just knowing that, I understand the investments I'm in. I'm not taking too many risks with money that I can't afford to lose, because going balls to the wall, going all in on crypto or, speculative stocks or whatever can work out. You've heard about your friends getting rich overnight, but you hear a lot less about the stories of people that are in real financial trouble because they took those risks. So that's our job, is to just help you avoid making those mistakes. It's as simple as that. We don't know any better than anybody else, but we do know that, generally speaking, investing is and should be easy as long as you can think about the long-term big picture.
I love the fact that you said you've always heard of the friend of the buddy of his cousin who sank it all into crypto and is now living on a beach somewhere. But I mean, you never hear of the guy that lost a bunch of money. that
No.
Probably happens too. It's only the success stories that you hear, and having
I know.
I've never heard one. I did hear one in a dressing room a few weeks ago, but the guy was quite well off, and he was kind of laughing about it, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, the importance of having something balanced is crucial. Is definitely now, when, I mean, you'll probably get into more of investments and things, but just the fact that with interest rates, it sets even a conservative portfolio is a little bit out of whack with the inverse relationships with bonds and interest rates, right? So being balanced and having that explained to you, and knowing, again, that peace of mind when the head hits the pillow that your investments are doing okay, and realistic goals with that are crucial.
Yeah. And so in your 40s, you don't, that downturn is not the same deal as if you're entering retirement or in retirement. Exactly. And on the brink. And yeah, I actually hear tons of stories about the losers, because I ask everybody. I'm always like, you remember that guy you told me about 6 months ago? What's going on there now? And I always because sometimes people are like, oh, you don't know. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's wait a tiny bit and just see, and hopefully it did cash out. But rich people, it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to take some risks with your money that you don't need, that's okay. But for average Canadians, it's simple. There's no magic formula to investing. Rich people lose all the time by being sold products that are too good to be true. Sometimes they have great investments, but generally speaking, you can beat 95% of your peers if you stick to a low-cost diversified portfolio and go with it. And that's our sort of investment motto over here. And now, since you came from kind of an insurance world as well, we'll allow you to sort of touch base on risk management in your 40s and what your thoughts are on that.
Well, again, in your 40s, there's still quite a long time horizon towards retirement. You're looking at least 15 to 20 years, probably somewhere in that situation. And when you're probably asked, what's your greatest asset right now, right? And you've done your planning, it's your ability to earn an income. Mm-hmm. It is so important to ensure that ability. Like, I mean, I heard the one analogy: if you had a ATM machine in the basement spitting out money, you'd want to insure that thing, right? So protecting your income is one of the most important things you can do, because what if you lose that ability to work? What happens then? If you look at that trajectory of your of your financial plan, then you're borrowing or doing something else. And then how do we do that? We can do that with different types of insurance, disability insurance, where if you lose the ability to work, and this will replace that monthly income, right? We look at critical illness insurance. So if you fell under one of the definitions, I like to use the kind of the big ones, the heart attack, stroke, or cancer, that you would receive a lump sum amount with the focus of just getting better. Usually we look at a year's salary of replacement in those cases, and that's tax-free money that you can use to, whether it's if it's a hot tub, that it might make you feel better. We see a lot of mental illness over the last few years, right? So we do some, and then God forbid if something really bad happened and you weren't you weren't around anymore, and making sure that your loved ones are taken care of with life insurance. So that's a lot of different insurance policies. I know it's tough because it's not tangible, and sometimes it's really difficult because people, they don't want bad things to happen to them, but a lot of those uncontrollable events we do see. And just again, if I've seen in my short time in this business, I've already seen situations where this would really drastically hurt a family without some of these policies in place, because with the advances of modern medicine, we do see people get better. Like, people have cancer and get better, people have strokes and get better. So and just being able to keep that financial plan on track, even in a situation where you do become disabled, is monumental in keeping your family goals and future plans intact.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And so with life insurance, it's the simple one. A lot of people can wrap their heads around it. My family would need this. People never think they're going to get sick or disabled. A lot of people, depending on where you work, you might have a decent disability policy as something that you would look at before, like, going out on your own and getting one, because that's sort of that's the trickiest one, in my opinion, is because there's so many sort of outs that potential insurance companies have on that, where, we get a bad name for ourselves because we're like, well, that didn't pay, and or I have insurance through my mortgage, and that was something I need to do a video on soon. It's like, no, I have insurance on my mortgage, and I'm like, well, no, think about how many times you've switched mortgage carriers, and that's not actually underwritten, and that probably costs you more for a product that's not as good. And then there's insurance agents that are just straight up going out there and being predators and selling insurance products that people can't afford and don't need. That's something that we will never do. We believe in insurance a great deal, but within your budget and for exactly what you need and no more, because we're compensated well, and this is about long-term planning, and not making a huge bucks right now so you can have this crazy insurance plan, and then we can forget about you and not help you achieve the rest of the goals that you have. It's just protection for just in case. Now the last two, pretty simple in your 40s. Estate planning. If you don't have a will, get one immediately. Even if you're single, your family will be have a lot of heartache trying to deal with everything if it's not set up, because then the government is in charge of that. If you have kids, get one for sure, because now the government is choosing who the guardians of your kids are going to be. You got to choose an executor. That's the person that deals with the estate. So it takes forever. It's a pain in the butt. choose somebody you love and trust that can handle that stress. Getting a power of attorney. I mean, we're not lawyers, obviously, but getting a power of attorney. So if you can't, manage your own finances for whatever reason, you have somebody that can do that for you. And a personal directive as well. And I mean, this is, I know, and it's expense and with a lawyer and whatever else, but it is a huge thing. And then just making sure your beneficiaries are up to date on any registered plans that you might have. Really all I thought about with estate planning, unless you have a number of assets like a business, cabins, buildings, real estate, all of that, then you're going to want a more complex estate plan potentially to save on tax. But that's a different scenario than, the majority of Canadians that are just average working class people that we're sort of talking to on a daily basis. And lastly is tax planning. So I'll let you cover that a little bit and we'll just chat about it. And
well, obviously, using the potential of your tax saving vehicles, knowing how much contribution room is available in your RSPs, TFSAs, is really important, and maximizing those at tax time. And because one of the best things that you can do is, if there is some sort of return, and reinvesting that into your investment portfolio can make a huge difference at the end of the road. So a lot of people don't even know what age they can use these, or how they work, or how much I can contribute each year. So just seeing how that's all laid out in the plan as well is taxes, it's not there's not a lot usually, but just using it efficiently and in the right way, I think is another nice service to have, because everyone hates doing taxes
and paying more than they have to.
Yeah.
Right. For salaried employees, tax planning doesn't come into play too much other than RSPs and TFSAs until retirement. And then you kind of structure it, deciding what the best vehicle is for you, if it's TFSA or RSP or a combination of both, is big. With self-employed people, tax planning becomes a heck of a lot more important and way more complex. We're not going to talk about that today. Joaquin and I are going to do a video soon talking about financial planning for self-employed consultants, or a lot of people work from home now on like a contractor basis, and deciding how to pay yourself and how to save and how to reduce taxes. But generally speaking, tax planning in your 40s, unfortunately, there aren't a ton of ways to really reduce those other than with the RSP and TFSA, unless you're in a complex circumstances, which we'll talk about later. But, generally speaking, I think that's most of it. I mean, obviously everybody's different. Some people are more complex than others. But if you'd like a second opinion, you've never had a plan done, you want to look at your investments, you want to look at your insurance plan, reach out to us at any time. Doesn't cost anything to reach out and have a quick conversation with us and see if there's a way that we can help you moving forward and work together. And if not, that's okay. We're not right for everybody. I mean, I know Joaquin's a heck of a lot more likable than I am, so he's probably better to work with than me. But yeah, we're happy to look. And generally speaking, I find that there, under no circumstances is there not at least one or two things that we can say that are going to improve your situation, regardless of what's going on in your life. And I think that's important. Does that mean that we're long-term working together? No, but it'll help you. and we're happy to do that. So if you want, reach out. Joaquin and I are going to be working together a lot on developing financial plans for new potential clients that come to us, and just happy to hear from you. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and keep well out there. Have a great summer. Go oil.